Hello, everybody. So, hope you had a fantastic weekend. And I already know you've gotten a great start to the week ahead. In the last video I made about college readiness, I talked about some of the steps you take from that transition from our program, which is an adult ed program, secondary ed, to that transition for many of you who are going on to community college. Now, I would like to compare and contrast the American college admissions process to many admissions processes around the world. What I said last time in the last video was that the U.S. is unique in the fact that we host more foreign students from around the world than any other nation. So we have the most international university system. People come from around the world to our system. Now, most of the sought after, most prestigious schools are private schools. So some of the logos you see here on the screen, your Yale, your Harvard, your Dartmouth, your Cornell, they are all private schools. So what does that mean, private? Private means they are not government schools. This might very well be a huge contrast from the university system that you are used to in your country. I taught a lot of students for several years from Russia and from China. And in those countries, the most prestigious schools, the diplomas that everybody wants to get to open doors for a great career, are not private institutions. They are the public schools, the government schools. So for instance, your Tsinghua in China, that's the pinnacle. That's considered the Harvard of China. That's not a private school. So what does that mean? When a school is a government school, like for instance, in our country, you have a state school, University of Massachusetts, or community colleges, that means they are largely regulated and funded by taxpayers, by the government. Now, private schools generate their own income from tuition, from donations, and grant programs. That also means they make their own rules, and they are much less regulated. What does that mean? It means that the admissions process is oftentimes very arbitrary. Oftentimes, schools will make decisions not based on merit, for instance, a single college admissions exam, but they will look at multiple factors and make their own decisions and curate their own student body. So one way I like to show how this process works in this country is a video of the Today Show from 2014. So I'm going to leave the slide here, and I'm going to go into this YouTube video of the Today Show, inside the college admissions process. Now, I've put this video up on Google Classroom. So here is Grinnell College, and it's a private school. It's in the Midwest, and the way they have their board of admissions set up is very, very much what it looks like when Americans and people from all around the world apply to American schools. They put in their transcript, that's their grades from high school, or if they got their GED from their academic background, or if they're transferring from another school, their grades, their GPA. They have their essay. That's one unique thing that sets American admissions apart. You have to write an essay to persuade people that you are a good candidate for their program. And also their SAT scores, although some schools are not taking the SAT scores anymore, like the University of California schools have stopped looking at the SAT. Other standardized tests for foreigners, if you might take the TOEFL. Some of you have taken the Accuplacer right now. The Accuplacer would be one of these exams. So your exam scores, your grades, your essay, and then they ask for letters of recommendation. So many of us, I've written several of you letters of recommendation for college. Some of you might be wondering, why do I need a letter of recommendation? Why don't I just take a single test? Well, I'm giving you this video to understand exactly what goes on the inside of these college admissions boards. So usually it's a room. So you have here all of these people, and they're looking at all these applications. So there it is, that's Grinnell College, and this is just one of hundreds of colleges around this country. And it's a room full of people. So the way it works is they sit around, they look at the entire application, and they decide whether or not each candidate is right for that particular school. So what that means is you might have great grades, you might have a perfect exam score, but you might not be accepted to that school. And they will not tell you why, because they don't have to. That's what sets a lot of these schools apart. Our university system is not a meritocracy. What that means is it's not a system based on ranking. It's a very oftentimes arbitrary system. I'm using the word arbitrary because sometimes those people in that room will choose who they want and who they don't, which seems in some ways un-American, but it's exactly how the system works. I'm going to show the head of admissions for this school explain what I mean in his interview, and I've put the subtitles right here. So there he is, the head of admissions for Grinnell College, and this is back in 2014. So there he is, Seth Owen, Dean of Admissions. He says, right here I have the closed caption. He says, I would love to say that the admissions process is very straightforward, very simple, where every student is considered on their own merits. So what he means there, merits, that means if you get a high score in an exam, you're in. It doesn't work that way. You might get the highest score of any applicant, but you might not get in. He says the process is highly subjective, highly subjective. This process is very much the way it is when you're applying for a job at a private company, because the most prestigious schools in the United States are private colleges. The admissions process much more reflect getting a job at a private company. Now, if you're from a country where the most prestigious schools are government run, the admissions process will look a lot more like a civil service test, where you take a test, you pass the test, you're in. You get a certain percentage of the top score, you get into a better school. It is not that way in the US. So what I would like you to do for today's assignment, after you watch this video and watch the interview, this Today Show video inside the college admissions process, I would like you to write a compare and contrast essay, roughly 150 words, comparing the American admissions process to the process in your country. Many of you are from Haiti, from Panama, from the Dominican Republic. I want to know from you, is your college admissions process similar or different? And if so, in what ways is it similar or different to the college admissions process here in the United States? So that's a lot to wrap your head around, and it'll be good for discussions as well. I look forward to seeing what you write. Thank you very much.